Almost every wall inside an American home is drywall, not plaster. But walls weren't always built this way. Before World War II, most houses used a completely different system called lath and plaster. So, what exactly is drywall, and why did it replace a building method that had been used for centuries? Drywall, also called gypsum board or plasterboard, is the material used to form most interior walls and ceilings in modern homes. Instead of building a wall with layers of wet plaster, drywall uses large factory-made panels. Each panel has a core made from gypsum, a soft mineral that naturally contains water. When exposed to fire, that water turns into steam, helping slow the spread of flames. The gypsum core is pressed between two layers of heavy paper, creating a rigid panel that can be screwed directly onto wooden or metal studs. Once the panels are installed, the joints between them are sealed with joint compound and tape, creating the smooth wall surface we see inside most houses today. So, how are drywall walls actually installed? Once the structural frame of a house is built, workers begin attaching large drywall panels directly to the wall studs. The panels are lifted into place and fastened to the wooden or metal studs using screws. Because drywall comes in large sheets, a wall that once required many layers of plaster can now be covered with just a few panels. After the panels are secured, the seams between them are covered with joint tape. Workers then apply joint compound, often called drywall mud, over the tape and the screw heads. Once the compound dries, it is sanded smooth, creating the flat wall surface that is later primed and painted. This process can transform a bare frame into finished interior walls very quickly. But walls were not always built this way. Before drywall became the standard, interior walls were constructed using a system called lath and plaster, a method used for centuries. Instead of installing large panels, builders first nailed narrow strips of wood called laths across the wall studs, or ceiling joists. These thin strips were placed close together, leaving small gaps between them. Wet plaster was then spread over the laths. As the plaster was pressed onto the wall, some of it pushed through the gaps and hardened on the backside, forming small anchors known as plaster keys. These keys helped lock the plaster firmly to the wall. To create a finished surface, plasterers typically applied 3 separate layers. The first layer, called the scratch coat, created a rough base for the wall. A second layer, the brown coat, added thickness and strength. Finally, a thin finish coat was applied to produce a smooth surface ready for paint or wallpaper. Traditional plaster was usually made from lime, sand, water, and sometimes fibers like horsehair to help prevent cracking. Later, gypsum-based plasters also became common. This system produced strong, durable walls, but it required multiple steps, drying time, and skilled craftsmanship. That need for faster construction opened the door for a different kind of wall system: drywall. Drywall had actually been invented decades earlier, in 1916, by the U.S. Gypsum Company. Originally called sacket board, it consisted of gypsum plaster sandwiched between sheets of paper, forming large, lightweight panels. At first, builders were skeptical. Traditional plaster had centuries of history behind it, while drywall was often seen as a cheap substitute. But during World War II, the need for speed changed attitudes. The war created an urgent demand for housing, military buildings, and factories that could be constructed quickly. Drywall offered a major advantage. It could be installed far faster than plaster. Instead of applying several layers of wet material and waiting for them to dry, workers could simply attach large panels directly to the wall framing. Construction times dropped dramatically. When the war ended, the massive post-war housing boom pushed the industry even further toward faster building methods. Developers building entire suburban neighborhoods needed systems that were quick, standardized, and required less specialized labor. Drywall fit that need perfectly. And within a few decades, it replaced plaster as the dominant way interior walls were built. Despite its speed and efficiency, drywall also has some limitations. Because drywall panels are relatively thin and lightweight, the surface is more prone to dents and damage compared to traditional plaster walls. Everyday impacts, such as furniture bumps or door handles, can easily leave marks or holes. Drywall walls can also feel less solid. Since the panels are attached to studs with empty cavities behind them, the walls often sound hollow when tapped. Another limitation is sound insulation. Because drywall is lighter than plaster, it typically blocks less noise between rooms, unless additional insulation is added inside the wall cavity. Drywall can also be more vulnerable to moisture. If exposed to water, standard drywall can weaken, warp, or grow mold unless moisture-resistant panels are used. For these reasons, drywall is often easier to repair, but it may require more frequent maintenance over time. The story of drywall reveals a broader pattern in construction. Building systems rarely change because the old ones stop working. Plaster walls, for example, were durable, fire-resistant, and could last for generations. Instead, building systems change when a new method makes construction faster, cheaper, or easier to scale. Drywall succeeded not because it was perfect, but because it allowed builders to construct homes far more quickly during a time of massive housing demand. Today, researchers and builders are experimenting with materials that try to combine the advantages of drywall speed and ease of installation with improved durability, sound insulation, or environmental performance. Examples include fiber-reinforced panels, magnesium oxide boards, and other engineered wall systems. Whether any of these will replace drywall remains uncertain, but the pattern is clear. In construction, materials that allow buildings to be assembled faster and more efficiently often become the dominant system. This is Builder Brief. We're building a space for serious, system-level conversations about housing, land, and construction beyond headlines and surface-level discussions. Our goal is simple: to understand how the built environment actually works and why it affects all of us. If you found this video valuable, like the video, share it, and consider subscribing. It helps more people discover these conversations. And if you have thoughts or experiences related to housing, construction, or cities, leave a comment below. Your support helps us continue producing independent, in-depth analysis of the systems shaping our built environment.